The new AP poll is out after a chaotic Saturday in which 11 ranked teams lost. That's the most in a single day in almost 12 years. So let's take a look at the new rankings. The top four remaining the same. Tennessee drops 4 spots to number 9. UConn, another big faller, down 9 spots to number 15 after a loss to St. John's. Auburn jumps 5 spots to 16. Charleston and Marquette also climbing the rankings. Arkansas tumbling 10 spots to number 25 after a loss to Vandy, and Clemson entering the poll at number 19. So let's bring in our college basketball analyst, Isaac Trotter. Isaac, Clemson might be the biggest surprise in college hoops this season, an undefeated 7-0 in conference play with at least a 2-game lead on everyone else in the ACC standings. So Clemson now on pace to win its first regular season ACC title since 1990. What do you think's working so well for the Tigers?
Yeah, this was a Clemson schedule that in the summer I really liked. I thought they got a really good draw, only having to play Virginia once, Duke once, North Carolina once. But this is a team that's come together in a big way. Hunter Tyson's been a revelation as one of the best players in college basketball this season. When PJ Hall is healthy, he might be the second best big man in the ACC. When those two guys are rolling, Clemson can play with anybody. And this is a really good Clemson program historically over the last few years under Brad Brownell. It's been a little bit rougher in recent history, but this is still a program that wants to win and knows it can win at an elite level in the ACC. And they defend, they play hard, they know who they are. They have a lot of guys that attack the glass. And against Duke this past weekend, like down the stretch, they played like the veteran team. They knew what they wanted to do. They knew what they wanted to run. They didn't get out of speed, and they kind of imposed their own will against that young but talented Duke team. So this is a Clemson team that has a schedule to make a run in the ACC. They've taken care of business so far, and there's no reason why they can't hang around or stay at the top of the standings for the rest of January into February, and then maybe in the early stages of March.
Yeah, Clemson picked 11th in the preseason poll, but they got a tough one coming up with Wake Forest on Tuesday. Funny story coming out of Saturday. John Calipari had a great story post-game. He said the night before the Tennessee game, he took away all of his players' electronics, their phones, iPads, everything. He said no social media, get a good night's sleep. And it worked. The Cats upset the Vols, top 5 team, 63-56. So how do you think this win provides a boost for the Cats the rest of the way?
I think at one point, like Kentucky finally got to play the lineup that everyone, myself included, wanted them to play. Severe Wheeler was out with an injury, so they put C.J. Frederick in the starting lineup. They played Antonio Reeves a ton alongside Cason Wallace, and that gave Oscar Tshiebwe a little bit more room inside. Like they had multiple shooters on the floor. Reeves had a big day. Frederick had a big day. That's the lineup that's been so good for them this year in just a small sample size. So Wheeler goes out. Now they get to play it a lot, and they have a ton of success. Wheeler's expected to be back on the court really soon, but Calipari cannot go away from that 5-man lineup that he used a lot down the stretch against Tennessee. It's been too good in such a small sample size against good teams, though, to just go away from it. And having multiple shooters on the floor and spacing it out, not playing 2 big men at the same time, that really helped Kentucky. And I think that's a real boon for them moving forward. Like if that's the lineup that they'll lean on heavily, there's no reason why Kentucky can't like get back to the top of the SEC and start playing like a team that can win it all. Like this was the team that was number 1 in the country on KenPom entering the season. They have all the pieces. At some point, it's got to mesh together, and I think we saw a little glimpse of that on Saturday.
Xavier is off to its best start ever in Big East play, winning 11 straight. 6 players scoring in double digits in a thriller against Marquette over the weekend. What do you like about the Musketeers?
Well, Sean Miller is one of the best coaches in college basketball, and he's come back to this Xavier program. He got a big-time transfer in UTEP transfer Soleil Boom, and Boom has been arguably the Big East Player of the Year so far. And this team is deep. Like you said, 6 players in double figures in that big win over a really good Marquette team. And this is a Xavier team that's one of the best offenses in college basketball. They run great stuff. They have different angles that they can play. They have different ways that they can play, different styles of basketball that they can go up against for any team. They can play 2 big men. Jack Nungy's been great this year. Zach Fremantle was a guy who was suspended early in the season, but he's come back and been awesome and helped them win a game. And in this Big East, like where it's so loaded, you need different guys that can step up every single night. And Xavier arguably has 5 or 6 players who could lead them in scoring every night. That's something that not a ton of other teams have throughout the rest of the Big East. So I expect Xavier to be really competitive. That's a scary team in the NCAA tournament because they can put up 80 in a hurry.
Auburn riding a 3-game win streak, their most recent a grinded-out victory over Mississippi State. But you're saying the Tigers are your overrated team this week. Why is that?
this is just an Auburn offense that can go AWOL at any given moment. We're just not really sure when it's going to happen. These Auburn guards have struggled at times turning the basketball over. They were lucky to beat Mississippi State. Mississippi State could not throw the ball in the ocean. I think they were 0 for 18 from three-point range in that game. So this is an Auburn team that can defend. They have really good interior play, and they have guards that are talented, but they're super inconsistent. If this version of Allen Flanigan stays, Auburn can be one of the best teams in the SEC. If this version of Wendell Green Jr. can be around this level for the rest of the season, that's a team that can really compete at the top of the SEC. But we've just never seen this group be really, really consistent. So on any given night, they could have 25 turnovers, or they could not make a three. They're one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the country, one of the worst in the SEC. And those are my concerns with an Auburn team, that they need to defend at an elite level every single night against really good competition in order to win. That's easier said than done.
The Cyclones' 6-game winning streak was snapped at Kansas Saturday. A 2-point game. They had a chance to win at the buzzer, didn't do so, but that's not changing your mind about the quality of this team. Why is Iowa State your underrated team?
Yeah, Iowa State's, for the second year in a row, picked near the bottom of the Big 12. Second year in a row, they're exceeding expectations. And again, this is kind of goes back to Gabe Kalsher having a resurgent season. This was a guy back in Minnesota as a freshman that feels like 10 years ago. He shot over 40% from three-point range. And then for the rest of his career, he's really struggled to shoot. Well, now they've unlocked him again, and he found out a way to become a big-time three-point shooter again. He's shooting over 45% from three in Big 12 play. And this is an Iowa State team that always guards, but offensively, they're starting to run some really good actions that are getting really good looks. Caleb Grill is a big-time shot maker. Jaron Holmes, the St. Bonaventure transfer, has been really good for them. And so when you combine a really elite defense with 3 or 4 guys that can go get you 20 on every single night, this is an Iowa State team that's going to play a ton of close games. They're going to be in the mix in the Big 12. Like, the Big 12 is a gauntlet, and they're going to take some losses, but that doesn't change anything. They could have like a 500 record in Big 12 play, and I really wouldn't care, because when they get in the NCAA tournament, like they did last year, they're capable of making the Sweet 16 with the right draw.
All right. Thanks, Isaac. Appreciate your time. And for more college basketball news and analysis, make sure you subscribe to the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel.